Well, good morning, everybody. Nice to have you with us. We're in a beautiful sunny day in Portland, Oregon. We're here today to shoot a training video, and it's always fun to do that in front of a live audience, and we appreciate you being here. We've come up with some new material we want people to get used to and accustomed to, and so we've asked some people to participate with us today in putting this together. And because we want people to understand the difference between prospecting and recruiting. There's a huge difference, and we really want people to get the idea that there's a big difference and give them some materials to use to help them ask people questions and do things. We had a meeting in my home here a few months back with our first level Royal Diamonds, and one of the things we talked about was having some very simple pieces of material that people would use to ask questions because they're not very good at it, and to get people dreaming and thinking about things they want in their lives and things like that, and actually do a good, decent one-on-one presentation. And so we've come up with that material. We're really excited about it. And today we're going to present it to you, and we're going to have somebody up here with us live actually going through a one-on-one with us and to show you exactly how it should work and to understand that these materials aren't necessarily in order. Okay, they're going to be used when necessary, not necessarily in specific order and things like that. So we're pretty excited about giving you this information, and we're going to start out with a little bit of a talk from Dennis about prospecting and recruiting, because it's such an important part of our business, and it is a huge difference between prospecting and recruiting. Most people in Mikken start out, just jump into the recruiting phase right out of the chute when somebody may not be interested yet. And so we want to talk about that first right out of the chute. So help me welcome Royal Diamond Dennis Estes. Come on up.
As we met in Reed's home with the meeting he was talking about earlier, we discussed the kinds of things that we utilized back when we started the business 15 years ago. When we got started, there were no tapes, no brochures, no wellness preview formats, no tools to use to get started. And yet we built businesses that many of us are still getting checks for the activity that we did back at that time. So as we had that discussion, we looked at what are the things that we did back then that worked. And we realized it wasn't necessarily about the tools. We created the tools as we moved along. It was about certain activities and understanding certain fundamentals of the business. The first thing we talked about was one-on-ones. Reed mentioned that just a moment ago. It's critical. And what we need to understand with the one-on-ones, they're not necessarily one-on-one. But we have as many one-on-ones as is necessary to take somebody from point A, which is introduction to the business, to point B, which is when they enroll, and then we may continue with one-on-ones throughout. And so as we go through today, we're going to show you a couple of different one-on-one pieces that you might utilize. The next thing we looked at, people struggle today understanding prospecting versus recruiting. And as we looked back and looked at what we did in the very beginning, we understood that there is a prospecting step and then a recruiting step. And to understand that, we need to step one more pace backwards and take a look at what is it that we get paid to do. As I travel about and do trainings, and as we meet and talk about what's effective and what's not effective in the field, we talk to people, and most people are at a loss in knowing what they do to get paid. In other words, if we look at the compensation plan and we understand what we're paid to do, people look at that and they say, well, we get paid to sell product, or we get paid to develop a retail business, or we get paid to educate people, or we get paid to have meetings, or there's a lot of things that come back to us where people say that's what we get paid to do. And yet if we look at the compensation plan, we get paid to set up marketing and distribution networks. The 6% on the backside of the pay line is about building a network. I could make $1 million sale today, and the very best I could do in that compensation plan is a bronze unless I've sponsored 3 people. Unless I have 3 seniors in my business. And so right from the very beginning, we have this understanding that this business is about bringing new people in, creating a network. In order to do that, then we must understand the fundamentals. What are the fundamental processes that we go through in order to make that happen? The first is prospecting. The second is recruiting. Prospecting is checking and or creating interest. Let me say that again. Prospecting is checking and or creating interest. Recruiting is building belief. Now, many of us think we throw a pair of mag steps at somebody, or we jump in and start talking about their owies, or we jump right in and talk to somebody about do they keep their options open. There's a lot of cliche network marketing statements that go on out there that actually are on the recruiting side of things. The prospecting side of things is really where we look at where is there a need, where are they out of balance at, what challenges do they have, what solutions are they looking for in their lives. When we identify a need, then we can make an offering of a solution. We can make a suggestion. If I was talking to Tim, I may say, Tim, I may have a solution for that. If I can show you a way to solve that problem, can we get together for about 45 minutes? I'll give you an overview. In other words, there are different statements, different conversations that we can have with people to identify where their need is and then whether they're willing to look for a solution or not. You know, one of the jobs that I have as a prospector, I want to look for people who, A, don't have a solution to their problem. They don't have any options that are out there. But B, they're looking for one, and they want to move forward. My job is to disqualify as quickly as I can. In other words, let me set this stage. If I'm a businessman, which I've been for most all of my adult life, I need to have a return on my time investment. If I spend an hour with someone and my time's worth $300 an hour, I've just made a $300 investment. Now, as a business person, I have an expected return on that investment. And in this case, if I invest $300 worth of time, I expect a fourfold rate of return. In other words, $1,200 as a result of having spent that hour. Now, that's going on intellectually up here. So while I'm prospecting and I'm talking to people, if the timing is not right for them, we look for people for whom this is the right thing to be doing right now. Right person, right thing, right now. And if the timing's not right, then I need to pull back and move to the next person whom the timing is right so that I'm not making that investment and then losing the money. You know, we've talked about dragging people in. You got to drag them around. In the prospecting step, if we do it correctly, you will have qualified prospects to move into the recruiting mode. So let me wrap that up one more time. First step is prospecting, checking, and or creating interest. We've created two tools here this morning that we're going to show you that will help you with that event. And then the next stage is the recruiting event. We have one tool that will help you with that. Matter of fact, that tool can be used in both wellness previews as well as on the one-on-one. And so it gives you an opportunity to train people with the use of that tool as you move along as well. Recruiting step then is building belief. And it's whatever you need to do. It's product demos. It's one-on-one business presentations, business briefings. It's wellness previews or whatever event that you need to bring someone to. It's whatever activities, actions, and steps you need to reinforce that this is, in fact, a solution to their challenge and have them move forward and make the decision they want to join.